is this here? I should really be setting this up before I go live. I want to try something. I put this up. Can I have this in front of me? Okay, let's try and set up and see. Yeah, this laptop is balancing on a bag, which is very risky. But oops. Oh, what did I do? Okay, there we go. Hello world. Okay, let's check some audio. Oh, last time I forgot to record. There we go. That is not how you start a podcast. Let's try something else. Music bed. Anywho, as usual, I always have. I should probably find a better way to write this. I usually write this like in the shower or on the train before I get here. Whew. Hi, everyone. Got this off Shane. It's pretty cool. How's Tuesday? So I'll start with one thing. Humans have one language processor. That's what I wrote down. What that means to me. We actually do. It's the reason you can't watch something and understand it and also like listen to another person talk at the same time. You have one channel in which language is processed through. If you had many channels, at least you could listen to many people. I wonder if there's any other animal or species that has multiple language processors or multiple, I don't know, whatever version of language, whatever purpose language feels. Because then you could like listen to 7 people and comprehend all of them. And I got this, I think, from the AI classes. Winston, late Winston, where he's like, he didn't like people using laptops in his class because he understands if you're on your laptop watching something, there's no way you're comprehending what he's saying. And that makes sense. And when you study the human brain or any other human biological blah blah thing, you realize that's actually true. We do have one language processor. We have one channel, one thing which handles one part, one processor, one element which handles language, speech, anything to do with that communication, basically. Not out, in. Why did I write that down? I don't know. But it explains why when that same language processor kind of like handles, I'm not sure about this, but it kind of handles when you're thinking. That's why it's very hard to think when other people are talking. Because again, the same channel has people talking. And so when you're thinking, I don't know, but this could be it. Your thoughts are processed through that same channel. So ever wondered why salespeople talk so fast? Because they overclock that language processor. By now, you don't have time to think because the channel is being overprocessed. So you're like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. Someone who's talking very fast overclocks that language processor, and you can't really use it for anything else. And thinking is part of language because you think in a language. Interesting. Anywho, it's interesting when you think about these things. I think one of the most fundamental things I've ever learned was knowing how the human brain works and how what's processed where, what our limits are. Kind of makes you think how hard it's going to be to replicate this thing. People keep saying, yeah, AI, and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of AI. It's making my school easier. I wrote an article some months. Yes, I don't know. It has been really long. A lot happens in here. That I was telling people this is the best time to go back to school if you ever think about going back to school, because you have a bunch of AI tools that can do a bunch of things for you. So if you ever think of going back to school, now is the best time because, well, I won't lie, AI is making things way easier. And, you know, try it before the institutions start, finding ways around the whole AI thing. What was I saying? When people say, "Oh yeah, AI and all these things," when you understand how, also New York is really now noisy. Hold on. Yeah, it really is. When you understand how complicated the human brain is, you get to understand that we are very far from creating the Terminator. Because at the end of the day, LLMs are predictive models. They are predicting what you may want to say or do. They're not really handling all the other. Human beings are not just predictive elements. That's a huge part of our existence, but that's not what we are. You're taking in sound, you're taking in, how many senses, so signals are coming to you at any one time? You know how much your brain is processing at any one time. Just in your eyesight, you're seeing like a big, anyhow, but you narrow down to one thing. There's something called the cocktail effect. Most of you may know this. You know how many sounds come at you at any one time, but your brain is like tuning out everything else. The cocktail party effect is basically you at a party and there's a lot of noise, a lot of chit chat. A typical party. People are just, but the moment someone says your name, all of a sudden you turn. Of all the sounds that have been coming at you and your brain has just been sieving, cutting them out, all of a sudden, when your name is said, it's like, no, that's important. Listen, you turn, which just show you how much your brain is doing at any one point in time. Anywho, on a sad note, last week I remember mentioning life is long, but sadly it's also short. We lost someone this week from my high school group. I won't go much into the details of it for the respect of the people, but you also, as much as last week I was talking about how life is long and always make amends because you never know. No, that time I said always make amends because you never know how it's going to be going forward. You may need these people, you may never know how you interact with them. But now it's more like try to make amends because you never know when you may never have the chance to. You know. And then someone's okay, I know that's to the person. Like if if my if your image in my mind is a certain way, that's also partly my fault. I should like forget and change your image and see people in different lights. But it's like you never know when you may never get the chance to make amends. Hmm. So try to not even make amends, just to partly why this hit me is like you always want to know how stories play out. I always think about when whenever I make, okay, not my most of my children, but it's always something on the back of my mind whenever I'm going through life and thinking about the decisions where I'm at in life. It's like I always picture when I'm like 70, 80, and I'm telling the story of this moment. First of all, will I have a story to tell? I always say this, it's all over my social medias and all. It's like at the end of the day, you'll have a story to tell. Whatever it is you go through, whether it worked out or didn't work out. It's actually one of my motivations to do things. I don't do things because I want to achieve. I want to do things whether I fail or not. At the end of the day, I'll have a story to tell. That's just reality. If it goes south and it was shitty, we'll be like, oh yeah, that was a really, and then we laugh about it. If it goes well and I make it, to be like, oh yeah, and that worked out. Like at the end of the day, whatever happens, that's why you should try whatever it is that's bothering you, whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is. Try it, go for it, because however it turns out, you will have a story to tell. So I always picture myself in my 80s, 90s, very old, and I'm seated and, you know, we are all old around a campfire or whatever. And we're telling stories. Oh yeah, there was this time I was there was this time, there was this time. I don't want to be the guy who has like no stories. And I know we all have stories, but let's be honest, some guys have more epic stories than others. Other people's stories will be like, oh yeah, I was born school one place, one like some more stories are just there's nothing much. So I that's one of my not fears, but one of the things I dread is to be the guy who doesn't have stories or interesting places or interesting things or interesting people. Like the person who doesn't have any stories. So I always picture myself from that point, be like, okay, where I am in life, is this something that would be story worthy? Okay, not story worthy, but something like that. And on top of that, I always picture how my story with other people in my life will play out over time because yes, today you're close with someone, tomorrow you're not. Today you're speaking to this person a lot, tomorrow you're not. Today you're in good, like your relationships with people also change. But life is long, you know. We've all known someone who once speaking to in high school, but then maybe we meet them again in our 30s and we're like close friends and, you know, that now they're part of your story and then maybe they go out of your life, then other people come into your life. So I always picture the people who I meet in my life, how will my story with this person play out, you know. And you could be in this moment, maybe you're not saying eye to eye, you're not talking, you're not. But life is long again. That may be a today thing, and then maybe in 5, 10 years, you know, whatever it is you're mad about no longer matters, and now more important things in life, and you know, and now you're back to basics. So I always want to see how my story with someone will play out or will end, you know. But when someone dies, you never get to know. Whatever chapter it was in now, that's how that story ended. I'm watching this show called Shrinking. It's a very good show, very nice show. Shout out to Abe for the recommendation. Very, very nice show. And really, I was planning to talk about the show, but not in this regard. But it also kind of is touches on that kind of similar thing as well. This guy's wife died. Oh shit, I don't want to spoil the show. But that's not from the beginning. But and you just never know how the rest of it, how the story ends, which is sad because first of all we are storytelling beings. So when a story is removed from our existence, it's one of the saddest things. That's why we want to go past, not because the person has gone, but because their story with you no longer is no longer being written. You will have nothing to say anymore. When people want to be remembered, they don't want to live forever. No, they just want their story to continue. That's all we care about at the end of the day. Anyway. So I was planning to talk about shrinking also. Very nice show. That's all I can say. Go watch it. Commercial break. That's me in the spot. Mm. I should remove this inner filter thing. It makes my water slurpy. If this ever blows up and for some reason I become famous, these people should pay me for putting their label in my video. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spot. Like losing my religion. Trying to keep. Fun fact, that song, my first ever phone, not smartphone, phone that I bought for myself, I was in high school. I'd say my first business, a chapati stand. I'd gotten some money. I bought a phone. I bought it off the street second hand. You know, I was young. And it came with some default ringtones. The thing had like 1 minute of battery life. I'm in high school, no one calls me, no one had phones. You only know like 2 people in your entire life who have a phone and they're all in school. So really the phone was just for having a phone. Though I do remember browsing. What was that site? I remember it one day. It was a very famous site that had everything from music to small videos to what? And I remember. So yeah, I browsed some things on it, but the default one of the default ringtones was that song, "Losing My Religion," R.E.M. Um, hmm, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a very the first phone I ever bought using my own money. I'm learning how to do business at that time. Me and my cousin have one restaurant. I own another food stand somewhere. I said another one, some like I don't know how I even passed high school, but I did because I was busy doing business and employing people and doing math. But it taught me a lot because I started early. So, anywho, end of commercial break. What else? What else do I have on my? I should find a better how to write this or how to structure this. So, I have something about Halloween here. There were a lot of Halloweens last Halloween party is last week because it's my first Halloween. Oh, it's actually wait, it's not the 30th or 31st. Let's see, 31st. Cool. First Halloween. Oh, take it seriously in the West. It's like I think it's the only holiday that's like not attached to. Well, I once told someone, I once asked someone if they're going to celebrate and they're like, I don't celebrate that satanic whatever. Anyway, I think it's the only holiday that has no like it's just for the kids. There's no religious aspect, there's no cultural aspect. It's just in Indians, Americans, Africans, South America, anyone can celebrate Halloween. Christians, non-Christian. Christians are a bit iffy because they think it's satanic. Can't blame them. But it's not really a Christmas is a Christian holiday. The Valley is a cultural holiday. There are all these holidays, but they're like attached to these people, these people, these people, these people. This one just doesn't have anyone. There is no Halloweenists. There is no Halloween culture. There is no Halloween people. It's just, so I think that's why it's celebrated a lot because it's for everyone. You know, sad is not a public holiday though. Anyway, also a lot happens in this city. A lot. Like you can't even finish all the events. But a lot happens. And I was walking in Central Park and I saw this building that it's the Louis V offices, I'm guessing, and they had remodeled it to look like the bags, the cases. It's pretty slick design. I posted it on my socials, but I don't have any followers, so no one saw it. But it's pretty cool. But I don't know. Whenever I speak to anyone about architecture and building styles, everyone always throws the word around. What's that one? Brutal architecture. I have a feeling like anyone who wants to sound like they know things about architecture always throws the word brutal architecture around. It's like, is that the only other type of architecture? So it's either like everything else and brutal architecture. I don't know shit about architecture. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about architecture. But every single person I see is like, oh, that's brutal architecture. That they know really well. And I'm like, okay, so what's that other one? I don't know. I've seen this. It's like if I want to sound like I know some shit, I'm sophisticated like that, and I know something about architecture, I'll just throw the word put architecture around and make it sound like, ooh, look at him, all fancy, knowing things. And I don't know, that's how I feel. Because I've had people throw that one around. I don't know. Ah. Also, Christmas is around the corner. These people early bird Christmas. It's October and there's Christmas decorations. I'm like, God damn, at least give it a month. Jeez. Abba would be proud though. This country. What? Did this thing just tell me I'm offline? I should find an offline way to record this instead of relying on YouTube lives. Anyway, what was I saying? Abba would be proud. But in this country, I think it's Mariah Carey would be proud. Christmas. Yeah, I wonder how that song is going to be now that I'm in America. I always see the memes. I hope it doesn't get annoying. Like Jay-Z's Empire State in New York. It's like everywhere. Not everywhere, just Times Square, the touristy zone. Yeah. So I hope I don't get tired of Mariah Carey. But these guys decorate way early. It's October. And it's like Christmas decorations all over town. The stores are already selling Christmas things. I'm like, what the? I don't know why. Maybe by next year I'll have an answer, but that's pressure. Christmas pressure for where I'm from. Anywho, I just want to keep this short. I don't know why I come. And I don't know what. See, that's the thing. When you're creating something and you're doing something, you never know. Well, I always never know what I'm perfecting. I come here every day. I've tried to get some people here. A certain type of people here. I haven't like worked for. I don't know what even my plan is. Honestly, I won't lie. Right now, I need to create something. I'm a creative. I'm always creating things, and I just figured if I show up here every day and something will come up, and it is coming up. The structure will eventually form. You know, it's called what? Emergence and complex. That's one of the most powerful concepts I've ever learned in my life. Shout out to that Stanford guy. That's a very good. Just go to your YouTube and type Stanford human biology something. Yeah, human biology Stanford. You'll see the lectures. Bearded lecturer. That shit will change your life and your mind. I can't mess with my world. Not mess, like really change my worldview and how I see us as human beings, as species, first of all, as something that's just interacting with its environment. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are doing. We're just a living being on Earth trying to interact and survive in the environment that is Earth. That same thing happens all over. If there are living beings on Jupiter, they're probably trying to do the same. If there are living beings on any other environment, even on Earth alone, we have so many other beings that you're seeing, and they're all just trying to survive and interact with the environment, and it's interesting. And also really, really really nailed the point home of you are your environment. I've always known, but that guy really shows you how much you are your environment. And it's true, in so many ways. One of the saddest, not saddest ones, but one of the meh ones is it's called the Einstein, the Einstein something. What is like probably the next Einstein is somewhere in a village in a third world country and we'll never get to know him because he's in an environment that would not, you know, help him become the next Einstein. Sad. By the father thing, I'd keep this short. I come here, try to talk, speak my mind, wrap my mind. I do this for who? I don't know, but I do YouTube for me. I don't lie. The first serious YouTube thing I did to teach myself discipline and consistency, you know. And the rest of that was just because it's free space, free storage space. I can document my life and have it stored for free somewhere. Why wouldn't I take that opportunity? Because at the end of the day, we all just want to be remembered. We all just want our stories told and history remembered, the documented. I think I have a video of this where I said Jesus may not have been the best prophet on this planet has ever seen, but is the best documented prophet this planet has ever seen. You know, he's documented so well. The book sells so much, and we think he's the best. That is why he may not, in essence, be the best. Maybe there's probably some prophet in Middle East or Asia somewhere who did way insane shit, like walked on water. Nah, I like walked upside down inside the water or some more insane crazy stuff. He would split bread or whatever. Maybe he did way, doper, more insane fun things. But we will never know of him because no one documented that. So that's why partly I document all this because people will only remember what you documented. Like no one, we only have so much space up there. There's only memory is a very funny thing. When you study some psychology and some memory, it's a very funny thing. Actually, the question they always ask on that is that I love asking anyway. Does memory work like a flip book? Picture an album where you just picture every page and there's a picture on every page. And if you want to go to the picture from 1997, you just go back and pull out the picture. Oh, here's me 1997. Does memory work like that? Or is it more like a bowl, picture a big bowl or glass or jar, big jar of juice. So I put some Coca-Cola in there, I put some orange juice in there, I put some water in there, I put, Dr. Pepper, whatever, and then I stir, mix that all together. So there is Coca-Cola in that jar of juice, but if I told you to pull out Coca-Cola, can you? Can you be like, oh yeah, here's the Coca-Cola? Can you? Most likely not, but it's there, you know, versus the book where if I were told you, oh, pull out the picture of 1997, you just go back, pull out the picture. And so in reality, memory works like the jar of juice, it gets intertwined with other things. You grow and you remember more. That's why when you're talking to your mother when you're old and you're like, oh, I remember this time when I was 6 and this happened, and your mother is like, no, that's not how that happened. Because as you grow and age and tell the story, you're changing the memory and you're adding Dr. Pepper and orange juice into them. It's still there, it's still the memory of Coca-Cola. But now it has like orange juice and all these other life experiences and all other things on top of that. So that's how memory works. There have been countless experiments done on this. The city prisoner thing where they put someone in front and the t-shirt color changes and you don't really notice. Why I document things is if I want to be remembered, I might as well, okay, not remembered, but if I want to know what my story was like when I'm 80 and my memory is fleeting and I still want to remember what my life is like, I'll just go back to YouTube and watch all of it again because I documented most of it, all how I used to think when I was. Because partly there's so many ideas you had. That's why people keep telling you write down things, note down things, things. Because there's so many ideas you have that you never actually do anything about because you forget them. Probably when you are 25, or if you're 25, write down things. But probably for us who are like in our 30s, probably when you're 25, you most likely had an idea or a thought or something that was brilliant. But if you never wrote it down, you know, yeah, it's gone. So probably in one of these, I'll say one of the most brilliant things I've ever said in my life. One of the most, oh wow, that was actually some deep genius shit. I'll probably say them in one of these things, and I won't know when I'm saying it, but years later I'll be like, oh, that guy said some deep stuff, and you've all been there where you watch some guy say something and you're like, wait, I've also ever said that. I thought of that once, but you didn't document it. You are not on stage telling it to people, so anywho. Getting excited. 30 minutes in, I should go. Thanks. Um, the universe, the world, God, whoever. Something strange by that. So, um, after I had my second midterm. The week or 2 weeks before that, I had a midterm, which I almost missed. So, the midterm was the class. Usually, it's today's class, it's a Tuesday class, and it's usually at 5:30 to 7:30. She told us several times that the midterm will be at 4:30. That did not register in my mind. I was like, oh, it's Tuesday, you're working on muscle memory. So I just assumed, since it's Tuesday, it's 5:30. So I come to school early, trying to do a little reading here and there. I go to another room, 205. Um, the midterm is usually in the next building on the fifth floor. So I'm in 205 reading, and in my head, for some reason, the exam is at 5:30. So I'm reading, and this is about four something now. It's about four. And the room I was in, there was this colleague of mine, and he's talking and talking. I'm like, I need to get out of here and go find a more quiet space. So I just said something like, oh, I need to go. I close my laptop and try. In my head, I'm like, let me go to the fifth floor where the exam usually takes place. Read from there for about an hour until the exam, and then I just go back to the exam. So I go to the floor. I was trying to go to the student lounge on that floor, and I go to the floor, and the student lounge is closed. I'm like, shit, why is the student lounge closed? You know, but in my head, I'm like, you know what? Let me just see if the class is empty. I could read from the class. All the while in my head, the exam is at 5:30. So I literally was walking into the class like, why is everyone in the class? And then I find everyone seated for the exam. That was at 4:30. This was around 4:20 something. I'm like, holy shit. Then the moment it hits me, this exam was at 4:30. And I just accidentally stumbled into the class, wanting to just go and read from there, and I found it was seated. Had I found the student lounge open, I would have missed that exam. Because I would have sat in the student lounge and read for an hour and then gone to the exam room at 5:30. All had like the person in the fourth floor not been talking and all this. I wouldn't have left the room had it been quiet. I would have left the room. I would have left it at 5 something and then found. But for some reason, something drove me, just like puppeteered me around all the way up to the room, just in time for the exam. And I didn't know what or why or how. In my head, I'm chasing other goals and trying to find silence and calm. And here I am ending up in the exam room just in time. That stuff makes me think. I'm not a religious person, but that was something beyond me, beyond anything we could explain. Like what the? I kid you not. I sat in the exam like almost missed this. How did I? It was a pretty easy one, which I got funny marks. No, I want to speak to Professor about that, but it's that made me think that there should be something on this planet that's beyond. It's funny that older I get, the more religious you become. Not religious, but spiritual or whatever. You tend to believe in something higher than yourself because things when you're young, you tend to think you have control of everything that's happening around you. You know, everything is a consequence. If you're not super religious, everything is a consequence of my actions because it's clear. But when you're old, things start happening because now you are aware of more processes and how the world works, the inevitabilities of it, the powerlessness of something. So when something like that happens and you really clearly know you are not, you tend to be like, yeah, there should be something. I don't know what, but there should be something. Anyway, that's how I wrap this show. Talk to the spoiler room talks. I'm Emmanuel, only me, Kasigazi, for I don't know why I'm telling you that, but that's super loud. How do I reduce that? Because that is super loud. I'll figure it out. Anyhow, bye.